All right, welcome everybody. Episode 13, I think, because I just shot 12 right now. It's roughly about 9 o'clock, and we're going to talk about another subject here. This is not a Q&A, but a little more detail in understanding something. As far as, let's look at the breakdown. And a lot of times when we look at it like the basic, what is this? Like when you say, yes, Sifu, right? Basic hand greeting. This is not something Sifu told me. This is my own interpretation. This is, I forgot, this is like sun over moon and something like that. Okay, long time ago I asked him, I can't remember. But the way I look at this first is when you break down the YGKYM-002, right? We talk about the four motions to basically do it. Like sometimes I say this is our first motion, but technically this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but we look at this same idea as well. The first thing that you really do is like you reference where your center of gravity is. Notice this is your reference of the center of gravity, and I want you to see the relationship of how everything works with one another. Okay, when we stand like this first, right? You find yourself going forward and back in the beginning to find where your center of gravity is. But at the end of the day, from top heavy to bottom heavy, it's right here, the dantian area, where we find the balance. Like oftentimes we say dantian, if you were lying on something and you're holding yourself vertical in place, this is where the dantian is, to keep yourself vertical in place. So that in itself is right here. So when we go here, this is our reference point, right? Our reference point represents 1. This is, okay, where's our center of gravity? Right here is our center of gravity. That's our reference point 1. Now, when we do this first motion here, right, why is that? You have 2 points that actually activate from that point. The 2 points that activate from that is basically from the neck to the L4, L5, right? So what is that? It's almost like you basically, from here, you cover it. And I shouldn't say 2 points. It's actually 3, right? Because in order for you to retain, the center of gravity reference is 1. And then basically you have the L4 bottom part, L5, or L4, L5 is down here. And then you have the spine stretching, right? But from here, in order for you to encase this, right? Encase this area first, then what happens also in order for you to have that? The hollow chest. So it's actually 3 things that are occurring. Like you have, if you can imagine like a blanket or a cover, this is your center of gravity. This is the neck area, right? And then this L4, L5. But in order to cover it, the hollow chest has to take place in order for you to cover it. Okay, so if that makes sense, right? We have here center of gravity. There's your ball. We do the first motion, right? Stretch. Actually, this first motion is hollow chest, right? Cave in the chest, right? Hollow chest, neck pulled in, and then the tuck in, right? And that motion, if you can imagine it here, center of gravity, right? The 2 tensions, the neck, L4, L5, and the hollow chest. Cover it. Now, once it's covered, you have to secure the tent, right? Secure the tent is basically 1, 2, right? This the elbow, and the knee. It's almost like I covered the center of gravity, and now from that point on, I have 4 stakes to cover the area. So you can imagine 1, 2, like 2, the knee is another cover for that. Okay? So not only the cover, actually, I shouldn't say that, the stake. 1 stake, 2 stake, 3 stake, 4. 4 stakes. When you open it up, this basically stakes it in. The elbows and knees. So 2 each. 1 top, 1 bottom. Right? From here, hollow, cover. Secure is a stake. Knee, elbow, 4 sides. Now, notice, how is this fully complete? Right? How is this fully complete? Because This is responsible for the shape, right? The shape of the bottom circle. This is responsible for the shape of the top circle. But the hands in itself, okay, when we talk about hollow palm, hollow feet, when we do it correctly in the stance, the hollowness is like, if you don't hollow out the feet, you're almost like staking, 1, 2. You're staking the legs. When you hollow out the feet, right? Like if you stake it, it's like left, right, and you move like that, left, right, left. But when you hollow the feet first, right? That means the feet open, you get a greater surface area from that. Okay, so if my feet are not hollow, it looks like this. Like I'm staking from one point to another. When the feet are hollow, by the time I move, you create a greater surface area, boom, how I move. And from that movement, from having the hollow feet, basically from the force, you automatically, I want to phrase this correctly, you are not pressing down on the ground. But if you lay down like an area, right? I'm covering a greater surface area. And by having that greater surface area here, you have a greater sense of balance from it. Okay, so for example, if I don't have the hollow feet, it almost looks like I'm like literally like doing like a stilt, going like this. But when the legs finally open up, right? Legs finally open up, then basically you can imagine like a greater surface area, like you're moving in like a full circle for each one. Otherwise, it looks like this, okay? Now for the hands too, right? How is there a greater surface area of the hollow palm? Because the extension to the fingers, it requires that the palm be hollow. If the palm doesn't become hollow, there's less surface area for here. And this control is not great because without the hollow palm, the wrist ends up not having the full flow to the entire hand. You end up being basically stuck at this point. And if you're stuck at this point, the SBP, then basically things start sliding off you. Oh, shoot. Hello?
Hey, this is Andy calling from Angel Water. Just wanted to let you know I'm about 45, 50 minutes away.
Sounds good.
See you soon. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Sorry, guys. Someone's changed some water stuff here. What was I saying? Okay. I was talking about basically what happens. If the SBP is not correct, right, then things slide off it. If the SBP is correct, things stick off it. So in other words, when the flow comes from the source to the shoulder, to the elbow, and then to the hollow palm, it has to release to complete the seal of the ball, right? Without the seal of the ball, then basically things slide off it. Then you lose function off this, okay? Then you basically have left and right, right? And same thing here. Without the seal of the hollow foot, the greater surface area here, you have left foot then right foot, as opposed to just having a full surface area to cover. So if you look at this a little more in detail, right? From the reference of the center of gravity, right? To the covering, this is basically just covering it from the hollow chest, right? And then the straight spine, L4, L5 to the neck covers it. Then I'm gonna over exaggerate, I squeeze my hand. You don't really have to squeeze your hand. It's just from there, basically the elbows basically is a stake and the knees are the stake, right? You stake, you basically, here's the tent, you stake this, right? But when you stake this at the end to complete it, right? The completion of it, you seal it, right? And that's the importance of basically the hollow palm and the hollow legs, the greater surface area for you to do it. Okay, so I know a little food for thought as far as how to look at the YGKYM-002 a little bit more in depth, and hopefully that makes sense for you. All right, later guys.